You can't write. You can't think. Your work, your life, basically you seem worthless. It's the worst, and it is going to happen. So this video is about what to do when it does. The first thing you need to know is this happens to everyone. But every artist gets stuck or lost in their own way. So you need to get past it in your own way. So this is just a bunch of things you can try. They won't all work for you, but some might. All right, so in no particular order, remember, it's just a thing. This thing you're writing is not your life. It's not your future. It's not a test. It doesn't decide or prove anything. It's just a thing in a world full of things. If you feel like it matters so much that you are paralyzed with fear, you're probably expecting too much from your work. It's time to take a step back and set specific and achievable expectations. Things like telling a story people can follow, or provoking a feeling, or communicating an idea. And don't tell me those are not enough, because they're more than you're doing right now. Also, you are figuring out the form and content of a thing that does not yet exist. It's simply not going to work out exactly like you want or plan. Accept uncertainty. Writing is a process of changes and discoveries. Learn to enjoy that. Trust the process. Create, revise, and see where it goes. The blank page is terrifying. Put something on it. Even the most crude notes are the dirt in which new ideas can grow and flower. Once you have a single word written down, everything gets a little better. You have something to hold on to, something to work from. Learn how to write badly. It is not a waste of time. Throw down absolute junk. It will raise questions you never thought of. If you can get used to writing badly, then you'll write. One thing that helps me when I need to write total crap is knowing that I'm going to feel so smart and competent later when I look back at it and start to see things I can make better. Write down what you do know, what you already have. There's always something. I made a whole video about this called Use What You Have. There's a link to it down in the description. Build on what's good. Don't just look at what's wrong with your work. Find something that kind of pleases or entertains or interests you. It doesn't even have to be actually good. It can just be something you intended to be good. Just look at that and say, what can I do with this? What can I do to make this a little more good? Make choices. Most people try to solve a script problem by throwing words at it. The real solution is make a choice. Every choice that you make conquers a little bit of fear and defines your project a little more. Ask yourself, what is the choice that is making this step of the process difficult? Narrow it down. This or this or this. Okay, now you can pick one and see where it goes. Work with an experimental attitude. Let's see what happens is a whole other way to look at it than let's get this right. And it makes a difference. You can't create defensively. Figure out where you want to end up. If you name where you need to go, then you can start to figure out how you need to get there. Figure out what it's about. If I can't write something, often it's because I don't really know what it's about. This is a specific feeling that you can learn to recognize. Even when I was sure I had it down, I've had to stop and ask, what is the heart, the core, the center of this scene, or this character, or this project? Now, when a machine isn't working, sometimes you figure out what's wrong by checking each separate piece one by one. Test each part. If you're really stuck, re-examine each part of your story, even the ones you are sure are okay. Is it the dialogue, or this character, or this one? Is it this scene or this event? You'll be surprised how often you find that something is no longer working like you thought it would. And sometimes you can just get rid of it or change it, and boom, you're writing again. Do one thing at a time. If you feel like everything is bad, that word everything is a sign that you're freaking out, and you should actually stop and just work on one task at a time. Get in the moment. Focus on what needs to be accomplished in just one moment of your story. Not the background or what it means, just what the people are feeling and doing in that one moment. Tell yourself the story. Just write it down for yourself, scene by scene. Pay attention to where it's easy to tell and the parts where it gets fouled up. Return to your inspiration. Think about what made you want to write this. Remember what you love about it. Use a formula or toss the formula. If you get to a point where you really can't believe in your own project, use a system. Find a guide, follow some book or video's plan, and stick to it. Or even better, just study closely the form or style of something that you really like and do your version of that. But if you are already using a formula or a system and you can't write or you don't know what to write, it could be that the formula is boxing you in. Try tossing it. Throw the system out. Do whatever it is you want to do, even if the rules say it's wrong. Which brings up a larger, very useful trick. Change it up. If what you're doing is not working, do something different. If you work at home, go out to a coffee shop. If you are overthinking everything, try writing without a plan. If you can't think of a line, think about the character. If you're stuck on one scene, work on another scene. The way you do things sometimes is not the way you have to do them always. Ask yourself, what am I clinging to? When you find yourself wrestling with pieces of a story that just don't fit together, it's usually a sign that you're clinging to some element that you ought to let go of. Something that you really like. It can be very difficult to recognize what it is that's jamming you up because it seems so necessary. If you begin to suspect that you are clinging to something, try to break the spell. See if you can do without it. You may find it is indeed really worth keeping, and that's fine. Then you'll probably have to change something else, but either way, you're making a choice. Ask yourself, who am I listening to? When you're terribly stuck and it's really hard to write, sometimes that means you're putting someone else's values above your own. Think about what you think you're doing wrong and ask, why do I think that's wrong? Maybe you need to set that other voice in your head aside for a while. You can always check in with it later, but right now, it's getting in the way. Another key reason people can't write is the failure of what comes out to match what's going on inside. That is gonna happen. It always happens. It happens to everyone. We all use a vision of what it's going to be like to inspire us and to steer towards. But that can never really be the work of art. You have to get used to that moment when you meet the thing you're actually making. Learn to enjoy it. And a lot of the time, we get stuck or lost because we are quite simply terrified. Recognize fear. It might not feel like you're scared. It probably feels like you're just realistically seeing a problem and you have to stop and solve it. But if the stopping part is all you actually do and not the solving part, that's probably fear. It can really help to name your fear. Actually write it down specifically, privately, just for yourself, because then you can ask yourself, so what? Like really, worst case scenario, so what if it's bad? So what if it doesn't sell? The real secret to being an artist is you do the best you can. Because you want to. Because you need to. What the hell? Even if you are actually awful, you could turn out to be another Ed Wood or Tommy Wiseau, and your terribleness could stir a kind of joy. Also, if you keep getting stuck or lost in the same way on different pieces of work, then it's probably not about the work. It's about how you're doing it or how you're thinking or feeling. Art problems have art solutions. Your art problem may not be an art problem. And if you can face and work on the thing that's behind it, the feeling or fear or habit or relationship, the work might get a lot easier. I think a lot about this quote from Kierkegaard. The specific character of despair is precisely this. It is unaware of being despair. Despair can be like a filter over your perceptions. It makes it very difficult to act. You can't see what you're doing. Your judgment is off. The most important thing to do about despair is recognize it. To realize, oh, I'm having this thing that happens to people's minds where they get under a cloud and they think that's the entire sky. That's why a lot of what really helps is just trying stuff so that you might stumble into a glimpse of the sky. This one might seem a little crazy, especially when you are stuck, but slow down. A single exchange of dialogue, 5 or 6 lines, might be a day's work. It might only take an hour. That's okay. The next day, another bit more. Another brick in the wall, in a good way. Bit by bit is how you get yourself through a bad patch. I did a whole video about this called Small Steps. You should check it out. There's a link in the description. Writing a script is a big project. Nobody gets it all at once. Give yourself little rewards. The pain is real. Comfort yourself. Make it absurdly transparent. Write a paragraph, get a lemonade. Step away and do something else. This kind of work, which looks like just sitting around, burns up serious brain energy. It's stressful and tiring. So take note if you're fried and set it aside. Maybe just for 10 minutes or maybe until tomorrow. Step away so when you come back, you can plunge in. And live your life. Eat, sleep, exercise, clean up, talk to people, amuse yourself. Do not make your work into your whole life. And then try again tomorrow. Because you can, and you should. Because it's just a thing in a world full of things. So go do a thing. If you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Leave me comments, ask me questions in the comments section of this video, or go to writingforscreens.com. Hey, I'm not sure that I made enough mistakes this time to get you a good bunch of outtakes, so I'm just gonna juggle.